Our Across the Aisle segment tonight, Make America Sick Again. That's what Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer said will happen to us if Congress repeals Obamacare. The Democrats are planning a PR campaign this month to oppose what Vice President-elect Mike Pence says is still first on the agenda once President-elect Trump takes office, getting rid of Obamacare. Now, I personally think this is a great strategy because people don't like Obamacare. If the Democrats still push it, people aren't going to vote for them. But with me now is a man who surely disagrees with me, history professor and author of Obama's America, a transformative vision of our national identity, Ian Reifowitz. Ian, good to see you.
Always good to be with you, Liz.
All right, Ian, let me know what you think of this. Make America Sick Again. It's a catchy slogan. I said that yesterday. I almost thought it was funny that they put that on a sign next to the Democrats on their podium with them. But Ian, let me ask you in a more serious sense. Are Democrats just trying to frighten people by saying, you know, if government is not in charge of health care, if we repeal Obamacare, you are going to die?
Well, frightened is in the eye of the beholder. Let's make a couple things clear. Under Obamacare, the government is not in charge of health care. The government does not sell health insurance. The government does not provide health insurance to anyone.
No, they mandate that we purchase at a certain level that they approve. So essentially, if not practically, no, they're not the doctors, but they're telling us we must pay so much for this service whether or not we want it, and if not, the government will charge us a penalty.
Well, let me first of all tell you why that's a good idea. Okay, remember they are having us purchase insurance from private for-profit health insurance companies, who are the companies that existed before Obamacare and may well exist after the end of Obamacare, you know, such as it may be. What you're talking about when you're talking about a mandate is the only way to make it possible to get insurance companies to cover people who have pre-existing conditions and to prevent them from throwing sick people off the insurance policies once they get sick, is to make sure that the insurance companies are able to get the healthy people paying into the system as well. If you didn't have a mandate, nobody would buy insurance. You would wait. Excuse me. If you didn't have a mandate, but you required the insurance companies to take anybody who comes, even with a pre-existing condition, people wouldn't get insurance, or many people wouldn't, until they got sick.
Right, Ian. But that's not happening now. I mean, healthy people. That's one of the problems with Obamacare. That's one of the reasons people are saying it failed, because young, healthy people, my generation specifically, are choosing to pay the penalty, or the government's not enforcing the penalty. They're not signing up. It doesn't work.
Well, people are signing up because we've got 20 more million people who are 20 million fewer people who are uninsured. But what's happening is
how many people still are without insurance, though?
20 million fewer than before Obamacare. I'd say that's pretty good.
No, there's still millions and millions of people without, though, and it's not financially stable. It's not sustainable. That's why insurers are pulling out of the market, because they're losing billions of dollars every year, because the premise of Obamacare, that young, healthy people pay for the coverage of older, sicker people, it's not working.
Well, it is working, and the fees for not following a mandate go up each year. So you would see more and more people either getting the insurance or paying more into the system. Either way, the money goes to insure the sicker people, so that if and when, God forbid, one of us were to get sick, we would already be covered. That's impossible if you don't expand the risk pool. If everybody's in it in it by themselves, you'd have what you had in the pre-Obamacare system. People worried once they got sick, they're going to be thrown off their coverage. They lose their job after they've gotten sick. They won't be able to get new coverage because now they have a pre-existing condition. So all the things you worried about were worse under the pre-Obamacare system.
Right, Ian, let me stop you right there, though. Just before we get any further away from this point, let me ask you, if this is working, if the premise of what you're saying under Obamacare has been working since it's been passed, why are insurers pulling out of the marketplace? Like, if it works for them financially, why are they leaving?
Obamacare is working. We have seen a few insurers pull out of a few places, but
no, it's not a few. It's the major insurers pulling out of the major marketplaces. It's down to just a few left, and they're even threatening to leave.
If that's the case, then why are Obamacare enrollments up in 2017 from 2016? Obviously, there are enough insurers providing products that people want to buy.
No, because the penalties are going up. People are signing up because the penalties are too high.
And if the penalties are higher, then that means the insurance companies will be able to make their profits while still providing care. It's a system that all the parts have to fit together in order to work. You can't pull one out and allow the rest to stand, because what would then happen is you would have young, healthy people not getting insured, and you would then have the failure or the spiral of Obamacare. But if you look at what's happened, you had a one-year blip last year with some of these premiums going up, but Obamacare is stabilized according to the preliminary numbers for 2017, and overall, the increase in Americans' health insurance spending since 2010 has been lower than in the years before that. So Obamacare is working for cost control as well as expanding coverage.
No, and I think that just sounds like a talking point to me. That doesn't sound like the experience of the practical everyday American. I mean, you ask families who are paying now thousands of dollars more in premiums every year. They were promised $2,000 less under Obama when he was trying to sell this to us. Deductibles have been raised even as premiums have gone up. People can't even reach their deductibles, Ian. The 20 million people that you're talking about who have insurance now, who didn't have insurance before Obamacare, some of them, a lot of them are paying out of pocket now for healthcare costs because their premiums are so expensive. They can't reach their deductibles, so they're ending up paying out of pocket at the same time that they're paying these enormous premiums. I don't understand, even if philosophically you support government-run or universal healthcare, whatever you want to call it, how can you say that practically this particular bill, this particular legislation is working?
Well, it is working. You can look at some of the statistics being provided by economists like Paul Krugman. We have to be able to agree on a set of facts. We can't debate over what the facts are. And we obviously neither of us have memorized all of the relevant statistics to spit them back and forth at one another. The fact remains that healthcare spending in this country is lower than it was in the years before Obamacare. The increases in premiums are lower, even with last year, than they were in the years before Obamacare.
And they're supposed to go up by more than 25% in 2017. That doesn't sound like stabilizing to me. That doesn't sound like a family who used to pay $1,000 is now paying over $5,000. That's not workable. I understand what you're saying from the theoretical part of the argument. I think practically even Democrats, and I'm not talking about Democrat politicians because they've exempt themselves from this, but everyday Democrats don't like the impact of Obamacare either. And I just don't see why they're continuing to say, oh, we must push this forward, we must push this forward. Why President Obama is saying, no, you shouldn't work with the GOP on a solution to fix this.
First of all, the solution to fix this is that President Obama is talking about. He said the exact right thing, because you're talking about a plan to repeal, but then delay the replacement. So they're not going to. Democrats are not going to get sucked into putting their stamp on something that is essentially going to be a scheme to get around the fact that they've repealed something without having a proper replacement.
So you would support a repeal of this if a replacement was on the table at the same time?
I would support strengthening the plan that already exists because it is the best plan that we have available to us. A single payer plan would have been preferable. We don't have that. But if you look at the polling, which you mentioned, the polling on Obamacare has improved significantly over the last 6 months. The poll done since the election shows that more people want to either keep or expand Obamacare than repeal it or scale it back. If you combine the two, it's 49% in favor of keep or expand and 43% in favor of repeal and scale back. Republicans are going to repeal Obamacare at their own political peril. The American people know better.
Right, and I disagree with that. I think, actually, mark my words, I think senators, as long as they're not too fearful of the Democratic leadership, I think senators who are from states that Trump won in this election, who are now up for re-election in 2018, they're going to have a very difficult choice to make because the people of their states have rejected Obamacare. They've felt the effects of Obamacare. They don't want it anymore. So they're going to have a battle between their constituents and their leadership, and I think we're going to see some of them engaging in quite the mighty struggle there to know what to do because people don't want it anymore. Ian, that's all the time we have for today, but thank you so much for being here. It's always great to talk to you. All right, guys, our next tipping point with Suhail Khan. Corruption in Congress. Would term limits actually fix that problem? We'll be right back.